Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. So what do we got going on tonight? You know, what's been going on since I've been in this little bubble of watching things and not having much to talk about on the podcast, which I've been working on stuff for that. Trying to make it more informative and yet more entertaining, I hope. So tonight's going to be one of those just updates because of what's been going on in the roundhouse. I feel like we need to address that since this is called New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. Nothing that we're fighting in New Mexico is really relegated to just New Mexico. We are one of the last bastions of 2A health in a very blue state that tries to be like California but isn't California. So what's been going on? House Bill 129, which I mentioned last podcast, they're still trying to push the 7-day firearms weight. It's been amended. This originally started at 14. The bill passed by the vote of 23 to 18, 4 Democrats joining all Republicans in voting against the bill. One Republican was absent. This one will go to the Senate side of the House, the Senate side of the roundhouse to see if it'll get passed. So this is still in contention. Senate Bill 5. If you don't know what that is, that's guns in the polling places. Right now, it's prohibited to have firearms, or they're trying to prohibit firearms in the polling place. They're trying to make it one of those safe spaces for firearms to where you're not allowed to have them. Senate Bill 204, the Parks and Playground gun ban, passed the Senate. It moves on to the Health and Public Safety Committee, which it did pass on a party line vote. The bill heads to the Senate Judiciary Committee. So it's still tied up. Guys, what I'm seeing is, and let me cut to the chase, so to speak. What's actually happening is we're probably going to end up with a 7-day wait on firearms. All the other gun bills that they have right now are being hemmed up by process, meaning that they don't think they have the votes. They're not progressing very fast, very rapidly. We have this last week for us to be very tentative and be very attentive, I should say, to what's going on, because this is when they can pass it or try to pass it to get it past us, because we've been so vigilant about opposing these. Now, those people that are elected know that there is no appetite for this, and the odds that something gets passed I see are kind of slim. But what I do see happening is, because nothing gets passed, that our governor calls for a special session. Now, the House can, the roundhouse can actually say no to a special session because they conducted all the business that they needed to do constitutionally. However, they can only do that by funding. So they would have to say, no, we're not funding a special session of the roundhouse. That, I think, is kind of slim odds that we could get enough consensus, that we could get enough Republicans and Democrats to say, no, we're not going to waste taxpayer dollars again for another special session that should be, that isn't going to bear fruit for the governor. At least I hope. Now, what's interesting about all these is there are corollaries to other bills from other states that have tried to push these, but there's a lot of pushback from those states and from Gun Owners of America, New Mexico Shooting Sports Authority or Association, and the NSF guys, NPC guys, National FPC guys, National Firearms Policy Coalition guys. Those guys, those two guys, GOA and FPC, these guys are the ones that are always on our side. So they're the ones that are taking up arms. So are the National Rifle Association, for once, in our favor. So they're the ones that are saying, no, we're going to raise lawfare and we're going to make it hurt for you guys or make you earn it. But what's more interesting, I should say, not concerning, is that there's a short circuit in the Supreme Court. And what I mean by short circuit is, I can't say this word and I never have been able to, but what it is that the Supreme Court was supposed to have two things go in front of an en banc panel in District 9, I believe, or District 5. It's one of the two. It's either California or maybe both, California and Illinois, for gun stuff. They were supposed to go to an en banc panel, which is a 3-judge panel. And what has happened with Illinois and California now is that they've played rules with the lower courts so that they could get these things to stick that they're trying to pass, and they're not actually honoring what the higher court is telling them. Well, it's either GOA or FPC has raised this issue in the Supreme Court itself and asked for a summary judgment on a 2A case to rule so that they can get that ruling and overrule the lower courts and say, hey, you guys need to stick to what is the law of the land. Now, we all know that's happened. We have another state. I don't know which state it is, and I'm not going to look it up because it's not that big of a deal to me because it means we're in the majority now, has constitutional carry. So we have yet another state, which would be South Carolina, the last time I was looking, where they were the ones that were doing it. Let me pause. Let me find out for you. So it looks like it's either Nebraska or Florida, but I think it was Florida that was before, so it's Nebraska that just became a constitutional carry. I think South Carolina is in the process of becoming that guy. And there was great hope that it was going to get that way. If you don't know what constitutional carry means, you don't have to have a carry permit. You can carry wherever, whenever. It doesn't matter. There's no law that says, well, there's a law that says you can. This on the heels of Hawaii basically nullifying the 2A, and that's still that way. There's still a lot of bills in play throughout the country where they're trying to make it illegal, well, make it impossible for firearms license holders, FFL guys, to sell guns. Washington State is really pushing hard on that one and make it a nightmare so that people can't buy guns. It was Nebraska that I was looking at. I could have swore it was someone else. I know South Carolina has a bill right now where they're trying to do it. I don't know if that one's made it all the way through there. But they're still looking at trying to stop that type of thing from happening. But now that constitutional carry is the majority of states, the plurality of states, so it's 26 or 27 states now that have constitutional carry, this should be law of the land now. Because we only have 52 states, right, in the Union, 50 states, something like that. I think it's 52 with Hawaii and Alaska. But I could be thinking that they're adding the other two, Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, as whatever. Either way, I know that we're at that point where there's a threshold of 27 states now that have actually done it. That means that they're now a plurality of states, more than are not, that have constitutional carry. That's how it should be. That's how our founding fathers always intended it to be. And whether you like guns or not, it is the fact of the matter that we should be able to own them, you know? So what else happened this weekend? Well, today was the big sports balls game, the Super Bowl. And Casey pulled it out of the hat in overtime. They scored a touchdown. It was 25-22 last I saw, I think. Don't really care. I quit watching in around 2016 is what I found tonight. When BLM started raising a stink and all that other crap. That's when I checked out then. But I watched the game tonight with a couple of friends, and it was actually pretty entertaining. It was a close game. I was expecting a blowout. There's a lot of newer rules that I think are kind of demasculating men. The game used to be a lot more aggressive than what it is. And I understand to some degree that, you know, people have to be able to play the game, especially at the level they do, because they're paid a lot. But at the same time, it's not the same game I remember. You know, after watching rugby, watching American football is kind of boring. That's the best way to put it. But I watched it nonetheless because I have a lot of friends in my new gig that watch the game, and they're Niners fans, and some of them are Chiefs fans. So it's cool. I have something to talk to them about. At least I watched the game. I watched a lot of the stuff. It seems like Budweiser is trying really hard to recoup their brand. I think it's too late for most of us, though. It was crap beer anyway. But if you're an old fan of nostalgia, they had a good commercial where they brought the Clydesdales out. Of course, they're going to bring the Clydesdales out because that's the one that always tugs on the American people's hearts. And that's what the left is trying to do to us with guns. You know, how many times do we see these people bring up these horrific acts and they want to say it's the gun's fault? But then they immediately say, well, it's not the internet's fault that our kids are being stupid and doing stupid stuff. It's the kids doing stuff or the parents not paying attention to them. Well, you can't have it both ways. If an inanimate object can make something do something or make someone do something, then doesn't it go the same logic apply when an idiot is being stupid, just in general? It's not the item that makes them stupid. Just because it had lethal consequences because they used a lethal tool. And yes, guns are made to be lethal. That's the whole point. The point is to defend yourself. A gun as a tool does not work if it isn't lethal. And it is the last line of defense for a lot of us. A lot of us train to that higher level or tier so that we never have to use it, and if we do, so that it's effective. It's one of those things that I've kept myself up late at night thinking about if I had to draw, if I had to shoot, when to shoot, when not to shoot, when to be a good witness, when to shut the hell up. I've had a lot of soul searching about that. You cannot go through the blowback that I've had to go through after seeing in living color what can happen when an idiot goes to a school. Okay? Anyone who is any kind of sane would look at themselves and reevaluate, are they on the bad side or are they on the good side? And with that, what I saw and what I've explained multiple times on this podcast is that it was a deranged individual. And you cannot factor that in. I mean, terrorists are terrorists, whether they go to a school or whether they shoot up a rave in Israel. They're terrorists. It doesn't matter. It's still illegal to be a terrorist, but they still do it. Taking guns away from good people just makes them helpless. And that's what the left continues to try to do. It's what started me down this path of trying to be a podcaster and bring awareness to what's going on in the 2A, especially in New Mexico. And right now I can tell you, it looks like we're winning. It looks like we have stalled it out enough and we've made these guys worry enough that they're not going to push it any farther. That said, our governor's pretty dead set on getting these bills passed. Now, we should call her on that and see what happens, because she's got 7 days. She's got this week to pull this rabbit out of her hat, and if not, then she's going to call a special session, is what she said. Now, if she doesn't manage to get a special session and we're good for another year, amen, thank God. But she's already proven that she's going to push her luck the best she can. And maybe that's what has actually happened, is that her using the health order to do stuff and walk around the law has finally woken up enough people that she knows she doesn't have the votes to do it. Because during this same session they had in the roundhouse was one to limit her power during emergency states of emergency. Because what she did to us during COVID, stuff that we will never forget. Like, share, subscribe. Most importantly, be great. I hope I have some better ones for you this week, and please share this. Thank you for listening.